What's up YouTube, Evan from Epic Duel Time here. So I know I haven't made a video in a while. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks, I think. So I work in retail and it's Christmas time and I've been working about 50 plus hours a week. So it's been a little nutty. But things are starting to come to a climax because Christmas is just around the corner. And it's kind of nice to just know things are coming to an end pretty soon. Right after Christmas, my hours drop right back to normal, which is kind of nice, and it'll allow me to get back to being able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! Since like November. I'm really looking forward to being able to get back to it. I have seen the Forbidden Limited list. I was really unsurprised by the majority of it. A few things kind of caught me a little off, just like the tour guide coming back to 3, but mostly pretty unsurprised by most of it. I invested accordingly ahead of time. No regrets there. A lot of it was pretty predictable stuff. I do like dragons and I did play them, but I'm also really excited to have the opportunity to play other decks that I've wanted to play, but didn't, because I wanted to play dragons just because I thought they were the better deck. But I'm really excited to have a reason now to go and try out new decks and play other decks and test out, because we kind of have a bit of more of an open format for about a month until the next set comes out, and that's exciting. So what this video is going to be about is about archetypes, and what better way what better timing for us to talk about archetypes than when we just saw the essentially disassembly of the Dragon Ruler archetype, bringing them all down to one, support cards all, Ravine, Sword, removing all these, two advantageous cards, towards the back burner of the game. The cards I want to talk about are what we call archetype breaking cards. I don't like the term broken. I think broken is a really silly term, and it sounds really foolish because what you're trying to say is overpowered, but you're saying broken as if this, this one thing was too good. What we're saying is that there's a threshold of competitive viability we can accept. This is acceptable. This is good. This deck can earn tops. This deck can win, but it isn't guaranteed to win just by walking in the door. And don't get me wrong, I believe there should always be a best deck. I just don't believe that it needs to win 100% of the time. I think there should always be a clear front runner, but we always know that the front runner doesn't always win. But I don't think that every deck should be so far behind the front runner that it's obvious it's almost obvious what's going to happen. But we have a viability right here, and then when we take a card that's just way too advantageous for an archetype, we do this, and we drop it, and it hits the ground really hard. And essentially, we stop caring about checks and balances, and we start caring more about shareholders and profit margins. And what I really mean by that is that Konami starts tweaking things, and this is absolutely a business model choice. It shapes the game. It's also a player-based control choice. So what you do is you build people up with open formats, lots of freedom, lots of fun. And then you start bringing in lots of, kind of meta-defining moments. More Mermail support, Dragon Rulers, Spellbook of Judgment. And when you do is you start narrowing down who's going to play anymore. And then you release it all. You ban lots of things, you break apart the format, and you make the players really happy, and then they realize they're not that happy. So this ebb and flow of kind of how we do it. So what does this look like? Spellbook of Judgment is what this looks like. Think of the Spellbook deck pre-Tachyon, right after Cosmo Blazer. Lots of cool cards. Spellbook of the Master is out. The Spellbook Tower is out. Lots of cool cards. The deck's fun. It's being played. A couple, some mostly regional, tops, maybe a win here and there. Nothing too insane. And the deck isn't doing all too well in the competitive scene. But we want to sell stuff. We have Dragon Rulers on the cusp. And so we get the babies, and we got Judgment. Let's think of what post-Tachyon spellbooks look like. Whoa. What a different deck. We were using Tune Tables, we were using Upstart, we were using Reload, we were using Magical Mallet, we were using any card that possibly could spam more spells off of Judgment and to trigger Judgment. Where the deck pre-Tachyon was very control-based, keeping your hand full, making sure that you didn't over-dedicate resources, because if there was some sort of interruption, it really was quite a setback for the spellbook player. It's very difficult. It was hard to score a lot of advantage. Something between, Judgment and what was currently available to the spellbooks would have been a little nicer. Something a little more reasonable. It's like a halfway point. Like, oh wow, that card's really good, and not like, what the heck? Like, that's really where we were at. And that's not the first time that's happened. Let's understand that Judgment was not alone in being a series of archetype-based cards that really didn't quite need to exist. I would say that its sister card would be Gateway of the Six. They're very alike. No Six Samurai player likes acknowledging the fact that Gateway of the Six is basically Spellbook of Judgment. Think about what they do. Gateway of the Six is when you commit to the field all your Six Samurai, you get more. Spellbook of Judgment, when you commit everything that was in your hand, you're going to get a new hand. And new monster after. They're basically the same thing. Gateway does for Six Samurai what Spellbook of Judgment does for the Spellbook deck. They build a very large amount of advantage very, very, very quickly. And the point is to overload all of your resources into the densest brick you can possibly get. And then you take it and you try to plow your way through at the fastest victory possible. Your advantage is so overwhelming, you're not going to lose at this point. Spellbook of Judgment had that effect. Gateway of the Six had that effect. Both are forbidden. A card that Gateway was unfortunately compared to is Infernity Launcher. Infernity Launcher is severely on a different scale than Gateway. Gateway continuously applies unnecessary advantage. Infernity Launcher gives you it once. When it was at 3, it basically meant you won. And it was that's harsh. At 1, it's an interesting card because when you use it, it's over. It's hard to recycle Infernity Launcher. It's very difficult to like reuse this thing. Getting a spell out of your graveyard isn't really that easy. Not anymore. So, but it's very good. It's perfect for the Infernity archetype. But it's very good. But it's not that. I don't think this card is forbidden worthy whatsoever. Do I know that if my opponent has the right hand in Infernity that they're probably going to win? Maybe. Yeah. If I don't have interaction, yeah. But do I think that Infernity Launcher is so far unreasonable that we need to tame down Infernity? No. Can they get event tops? Yeah. Event wins? Maybe. Regional wins? Yeah, sure. I mean, the deck's good. But I don't feel that it's unreasonable. Just because a deck's good doesn't mean we have to go and, tear it apart. When we have, decks that are like Dragons where we have way too much advantage built up. And we have decks that are like Spellbook of Judgment that we have so much advantage just flying. Well, yeah, now we've got some problems. Let's look at Wind-Up Carriers in Navy. This is similar. This card gets infinitely better at 3. Look at it, this degenerate wind-up loop. We take it to 1. Shock Lock. Not letting you play cards. First, it was making sure you didn't have the cards to play. Now it's just keeping the cards that you might have played. No more. And now it's forbidden. And what do we have? A non-existent wind-up deck. Let's be honest, the deck competitively doesn't exist anymore. It just doesn't have the same force that it might have. But it doesn't mean we start putting, Wind-Up Magician back to 3. We don't start giving it back all of its other toys. No pun intended. The deck is really, it's an advantage cranker. Magician Shark is still deadly if Magician and Shark are at 3. That's not something we really need to see. So we need to keep things where they are because this deck had time and it was over. And the problem is that to put it in any other way gives it back its advantage development. What is the point of any of that? Why do I look at these 4 cards and draw the line and say, no, they really did something nasty? They're all archetypes. They tell me from point A, B, C, and D that we had, and then will have archetype breaking cards. Cards that take a threshold of reasonable competitive viability and go, screw it, and throw it at the wall as hard as possible. And it's for the sake of profit margins and shareholders. Konami does this. And again, we're at their mercy to do it. But we have to be very aware of the fact that this doesn't necessarily mean it stopped. Sixth Sense was a really good example of it, except of the whole appeasing the shareholder thing, because they had a really crappy product. Joey's World was really crappy, and then they sold more Joey's. They sold tons of Joey's World because of Sixth Sense. Or else that thing wouldn't have, sold off the shelf whatsoever. Maybe for harpies and stuff and some cool foils, but that wasn't going to sell itself. Sixth Sense sold it though, and now it's forbidden. So look at that, it's gone. So as quickly as it came, it left. The tins are a great example of that. I mean, look at all the dragon. They're at 1. Dragon tins have just come out. I mean, you have to look at these things and say, oh yeah, Konami does this. Why? But why would I bring it up if it's all history? Is because I'm seeing at least two archetypes that I think have the possibility of having this happen to them. I believe, and I firmly believe, that Noble Knights will be the deck to get the next Spellbook of Judgment. And I think Midolce are there too. Midolce just got a new card was announced for Midolce. It's called Midolce in Jelly. I don't know that this is it. I don't know that this is the it card. It certainly helps though. It's basically Lone Fire Blossom for Midolces, except the monster can't be destroyed by battle and goes back to your deck on your next end phase after you activate it. It's not even the same one. Your next turn's end phase, it says. Which I find is kind of an odd way of wording it, because I'd just be exceeding it off, but maybe not. But the card's really insane, and it remakes lots of cool nutty plays. But why would I say Noble Knights? The Noble Knights, I see them as a made-up deck. They're TCG exclusive, all of them. And then, we slowly feed them back to the Japanese. But we made them up. Also, they have a missing link problem. There's a consistency thing with them. Yeah, they're good. They're definitely a good archetype. They're definitely something you need to watch out for. This format's opened up for them. But, they have missing link. They have the missing link problem that I mentioned. And it's interesting because, I'll say it now. Konami, reported, I think it was a little over 9% profit dip, which is basically their profit margin went down 9%. That's not good for them. That could mean bad things for us. All I know is lots of things have been changing and tweaking, and we just lost a ton of stuff on the Forbidden Limited list in terms of one deck. One deck really got torn apart, and everything else is kind of just sitting around, and things were opened up. I don't know how I would structure that for the rest of the format. All I know is we have 2 sets coming out. We have Legacy of the Valiant coming out very soon, next month. Then we have Primal Origin after that. 2 big Yu-Gi-Oh sets left for those. And then I know we have another one coming out after that. I have no idea what that's called at all. But right now, I would focus on the next 2 because those are going to be big sets for us. And in terms of TCG exclusives, they can give us anything. They can make the Sylvans insane, which would be interesting because it'd be cool to see another plant deck. Lone Fire Blossom obviously being now at 2 makes that even more viable. I know I've gotten many messages on Facebook and on on YouTube about what I think about the Forbidden Limited list. I know people are kind of itching for me to say something, so I'm going to say this. I'm going to sign off this video with this because I think it's worth me saying, and it ties into this archetype thing. The most important things, and the things you should have worried about most, past the fact that we knew Dragon Rulers were going to get hit no matter what, the things that everyone is paying their attention on is wrong. And the most important parts of the Forbidden Limited list are the things that are not even written on it. That's all I want to say about it, is that there are just things that aren't on it. I don't want to get into the details of that. I'm just going to leave it at that, because for anyone who understands what I mean by that, and who's read into the future and knows the potential of what Konami has and can do, and will do, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what decks I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, I'm afraid you're going to have to kind of hold on tight. It's going to be a very interesting next few months. I'm very excited. I love that the format's opened up, but I have some I have some thoughts. I don't like to throw all that information out there. It's not that I'm hiding anything. I don't like to throw information out, especially speculation information, that would lead others to think that was fact. So, but I definitely know for a fact the most important things on the Forbidden Limited list are the things that aren't on it. Past that, I don't really have much else to say. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all my friends and subscribers and watchers who that applies to. We will have tons more content starting up probably the weekend after Christmas, just because I'd like to have some time with my family as well, and because I've been going retail crazy. And Christmas shopping sucks, just FYI. I don't know if that matters. But past that, we'll again, I'll have a video for you guys. I have a goat control video, which is kind of a neat little switch over from format to format, and that's kind of neat. I did some fun with the life point counters and that for you guys. So there's a description in the description below. There's a link to that. I'm doing this at 3:30 in the morning, so I'm exhausted, and I just worked. So past that, I really again, happy holidays to everybody. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything for this coming format you'd like to see, matchups, decks, whatever, types of videos. If I definitely intend to kind of revive up the know the rule before you duel. Those just take forever to make. They take a while to make. That's the only reason I've been kind of slacking on those. Obviously, more duel videos. I fully intend to be getting out weekly duel videos, if not maybe every week or so, every now and then, a couple videos in the week. But it depends on depends on work and depends on how I'm running for things. Life gets in the way of YouTube. Sorry. YouTube gets in the way of YouTube. If any of you have read up on this they keep nailing people for the copyright thing. I've gotten a few. You guys have noticed that there's fun music in the background. Well, that came from somewhere. So either way, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on future videos, what you'd like to see. And happy holidays, and keep dueling, America.